It's so funny sometimes when you just need a metaphor and to name something in a certain way that then suddenly things make sense, right? When I speak with people on the floor, everyone is always immediately about Bitcoin. This guy really doesn't know anything, but he was like explaining to me how I should run my business. You know, when we're actually in a correction or we're just building, you don't hear anything about blockchain. That's a bit of a shame sometimes.
But
yes,
to the people that are watching or will watch in the future, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, in the future, I'm sure there will be a lot of people watching in the future, hopefully, if they're not confused by the time zones and they think that we're traveling towards the future or back or whatever. No, so basically, I don't know if I have like something in my name up there in the screen or whatever.
Put on the on the stream, I have put founder of Thrilled Labs and your email, because I couldn't put your name, founder, and your email just because like it was so messy. I had to make a choice, so I kind of scrapped your name.
Oh, but that's okay. You know, it's a long name. Plus, I mean, we all have this super big fragmented identities in any case. So we all have lots more to us than that we can even put in one or two fields. So no, of course, I am indeed the founder of Thrilled Labs. It's a really young startup that I'm currently developing in an accelerator here in Europe. And for the rest, I've worked in a blockchain infrastructure company until recently on the business side. I don't know how to code or do software development, unfortunately. For the rest, I have a bit of more, let's say, social science background, law, political science. I'm a writer, actually, for a couple of different platforms, doing some research, some trading from time to time. And just really a Web3 enthusiast trying to build something new for the sector and help other people.
Awesome. And that's actually the aim of the show, is to show people that there are many types of jobs that you can do in this industry that does not require trading nor coding skills. Because people think that it's IT, so I don't code, so can't do anything. And yet here we are, all three of us, we don't code for shit, and yet we all have Web3 jobs. So
that's definitely
exactly. So we were just saying that we were having this show as a news show, and because in the bull market, the things go so fast paced, so we were having a lot of things going on. And we just ran through the news that we think was important during the week. And now, since it's bear market, the things goes much slower and in a very sensible pace. So we get to invite all these awesome people to our show to talk about what is the future, where do you think the crypto is going, and all these kind of things.
That makes sense.
So,
just from my curiosity, before we dive into the substantial amount of the conversation, do you often have women on your show?
Haha.
Or yes, perhaps more often than I think.
So,
I think it's gonna be more often than you think.
You are the third woman. But I try to really, find women in tech, and then I also try to invite them for many reasons. The first one is kind of breaking that glass ceiling just by exposure of it, and also because you guys make half the population, you should be half as present on the tech side or like in general, and yet
the crypto,
and yet you're not. So I try to do my best, but it depends. But I think you're the third. We had Jess, we had Alison, and now we have Alexandra.
Cool. That sounds good. Okay, it was just a curiosity,
Yeah. No, but that's actually my second question was, you as a woman, how do you describe, or do you feel like as prejudiced in the tech world as in the rest, or is it easier? Is it different? What's your experience of it?
Okay, So that's actually, I like that question because it's interesting. I would say that first of all, I'm still relatively new to Web3, maybe 1.5 years now that I'm really, let's say, working in the sector. I mean, I've been trading since 2017, but that's like obviously a different thing, right? You can just do that by yourself behind your computer without speaking with anyone. But I would actually say that I'm really, really comfortable in this whole sector because of course, there's the discourse of, for instance, positive discrimination, right? We have to spur women, indeed, even in this show, even while it's maybe difficult to find them, etc. But generally, of course, you would prefer that it's not necessary also, the positive discrimination. For instance, like during panels on conferences, there's always this women's panel. I'll be sitting in one actually next month this month then, since we're in November, in a women's panel in a conference on Web3. And ideally,
which one is it?
It's the Next Block Expo.
Then we'll meet there.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, for sure. Everyone
Awesome.
who is even watching, drop me a message. I'll be happy to find you there and to have a chat. Yeah, of course. That would be great.
Awesome.
I'm so jealous.
Well, come to Berlin. Come to Berlin, Kenny.
I'm sure it's just a quick flight all the way from down under.
I wish that was that easy. But without COVID, that would be a lot easier. But then again, without COVID, we wouldn't have moved our industry so fast for the last 2 years, I suppose. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, sorry for interrupting you.
No, of course. I mean, it's not really like a super well-prepared answer or anything. What I can just only say that is from my experience, I actually find the tech sector and all the mostly guys, but also women working in Web3 extremely kind and collaborative. And actually, I feel that you guys have a lot less prejudices. How do you say that in English?
Prejudice?
Prejudice, yes. You know why I'm saying that? It's because when I went to university at the age of 18, I started to work in the hospitality sector, for instance, behind the bar. And I still do that occasionally. And we're like 13 years further now. I'm 31 now. And let's say the normal population, the ones that goes to restaurants and bars, like, everyone really in general, they're a lot more, how to say, almost discriminate. I don't know. You're right. I mean,
I know exactly
we get what you mean. You don't have to say it.
I feel a lot more comfortable in our sector, even if it's just mostly men. I feel super welcome and open-minded to everyone. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you guys seem to agree with that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because Salim knows that I own a few cafes in Sydney. And while my wife was working, sometimes we need someone extra hand to be on the floor to wait for the people. And then my wife was there waiting for people. And then they were like, okay, you seems like you understand something. Would you want to be the receptionist of our company? And my mom was like, yeah, I'm fine. That's okay. Thank you very much. But then in deep in mind, she's like, I own this place. That was the normal conception of seeing people, women who work in the hospitality. They think, okay, you're just a waitress. And then if you come to work in our law firm for a reception, you'll have like more money that, that would be better off for you. So that's what people would think normally. But they wouldn't do it for a guy. Definitely not. So.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you say that. This is kind of happening to me almost every weekend because my partner has a bar and restaurant here in Florence where I'm based. And I help there, just to give a hand during the weekend. And this happens really, really often, especially precisely what you're saying now. And it's fine. I mean, we can all have our ideas and presumptions about people. But I know as long as we're open to just chat and change our minds, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's normal to an extent. But it's a bit of a shame. Yeah.
I have a question now, which is, so you worked in the blockchain infrastructure sector. Can you tell us a bit more first about that, just so I can grasp it, and then I can tailor the question?
Yeah, no, it's really simple. I worked for a blockchain infrastructure startup. It's called Rhythm Network, and they're building basically an infrastructure for connecting basically a decentralized payments infrastructure, right?
Ooh.
Connecting Web3
nice.
with service providers, etc.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that I've joined that company last year, pretty early in their road, so to say.
Yep.
And for me, initially, it was really difficult to grasp what they were building. Just because it's often so technical for non-technical people, for me, especially where infrastructure of blockchain is concerned. So I don't know if you guys have ever had similar problems. I don't know exactly about your background, like your education and work experience, but then it was a great experience and I learned really a lot, and I'm still connected to them as a brand ambassador, and we will probably also work together on my new startup as a partnership. And
Okay. And so that's because to me it seems that this is one of the let's say not drawbacks, but one of the key factor that is stopping the adoption of crypto in the Western or first world countries is actually that really simple payment solution, for instance, that is fast, reliable, and stuff like that. And so, to my understanding of it, you used to work in a company that aims to solve that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And mostly also what they're trying to do is create more access for Web3 companies, because as I'm sure you know, a lot of Web3 projects, they're unbanked, or they're, for other reasons, they don't want to off-ramp. So they're sometimes stuck with their, with their back at the wall, because they have less access to certain critical infrastructure services like cloud services, or even if they want to log into, I don't know, some sort of other service provider. It's sometimes tricky that then always you have to have your credit card to log into an API, or to, get access to this or this online. It's kind of a shame.
Definitely. What is crypto or blockchains to you, and how do you look at it?
Well, maybe it will be interesting if one of you also answers that first. I mean, I have my thoughts, but I would also be curious about you. Like, you're probably better and bigger experts than me.
We have someone very aggressive today.
Channing, do you want to go, or shall I go?
Yeah, sure. I'll say they are different, right? Blockchain, crypto, and NFT. And for me, I like NFT the best. So I'll talk about the NFT. So I think NFT is based on crypto. It is based on blockchain. It is the backbone of the NFT. But what I think NFT would do is fractionalize a lot of things that we are doing now, we're having now, and making access to a lot of things, such as real estate, such as the music, such as the game, that the game characters, game assets that we have. Basically, what it gives people is self-sovereignty. The people actually who owns the asset by themselves. And then for easier understanding, I'll say it will be the ticketing system that I think I can really see it working that way. That's really improving people's life these days.
The ticketing
system?
Other day,
like just like imagining going to a concert.
Okay.
All these
I was thinking of like support tickets.
Yeah. No. So that's what I think it is, and I think it's really going to change the whole world. I mean, when people asking me about this question, I'll say, look, I don't even know if Bitcoin is going to be in the talk in 10 years. I don't even know what Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, or these Ethereum. I don't even know if they are going to be around or relevant for the next 10 years. But I know for a fact that the NFT and blockchain will be here for the long term, and then people are going to use them to change our lives without the general population even realize about it. So that's what I think, the future holds of the NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then Alexandra.
Yeah, well, I won't say too much about NFTs because honestly, I'm not an expert at all on this very topic. The funny thing is that I was a mentor in a program that is called NFT Talents. And it's a super cool program operated by the Frankfurt School Blockchain Center, a free program that people can apply for. And then they can basically learn more about NFTs on some sort of a self-sovereign learning journey. And then there are mentors on board, including myself, that we help candidates and we help participants with learning and guiding them a little bit. And there's meetings, stuff like that, all about NFTs. And it's really cool, actually. So for those who are really into NFTs or are curious to learn more, I can really recommend this program. As I said, for me, I try to, when you hear these big words like crypto asset, digital asset, blockchain, Web3, I try to kind of take a step back and just do a more conceptual type of analysis. So for me, blockchain is really like, let's say, the fundamental technology upon which other things are being built. So indeed, then the digital assets that can be crypto assets or indeed NFTs or any types of digital asset really. And what it means for me is that is actually why I decided to join this very sector like 2 years ago. Is that I see so much potential in how mostly Web3 as a social ideological construct can change societies and make them more inclusive and facilitate, new business models, new ways in how we can connect and speak with one another, more inclusion, mostly indeed, about people that maybe have less access to resources today due to the current monetary system. And what it really means for me, these big buzzwords are really like connection. This sounds so political, but it's true. I mean, I really care about the human aspect of things that technology can do for us.
This call is a prime example of it. Like we both are in Europe, but like he's on the other half of the world, and yet we can talk simultaneously and even see each other.
Exactly. I think that's very, very, very true these days.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know if you've seen it. There was an interview by Sam Bankman-Fried, I think 2 days ago. And he was basically what he was saying is the blockchain movement or the blockchain ideology that comes with the tech is actually kind of the same shift that we had when we separated the state and church. Yes,
I've heard that one. Yeah,
yes,
that was a brilliant remark.
And and now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it in a sense. I'm like, I knew it was the change is going to be profound, but until he said these exact words, it was like a nebula or a hazy thing of like, it's going to change stuff and it's going to be revolutionary, but then you can't really pinpoint it. And now I can actually pinpoint it. I'm like, yes, it makes total sense.
It's so funny sometimes when you just need a metaphor and to name something in a certain way that then suddenly things make sense, right?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, not that it wasn't make sense until recently, but I think also to explain maybe
it's easier to explain it that way.
Yes, you can just use this metaphor and then I can explain to my mother, maybe, who for the rest really has no clue what I'm doing in life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think it's a comment that rings a bell.
Yeah, you are not alone in this one.
No.
Yeah. I do have maybe another question, so it's going to be a bit of like we go left, we go right, we go left, we go right. Do you have any misconception about or do you hear about misconceptions about your job, for instance, and the crypto space? Because we had like one interviewer, one guest that was saying, I have a misconception that is really common is when I tell people that I'm creating a blockchain project, they're all saying, you're money laundering.
Oh yeah, that one.
So I wondered, like, if you hear others or Are you just a master Ponzi scheme? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Who knows? I'm going to run away. Yes, and then Interpol will try to run after me. No, I mean, in terms of things that I hear, I think one of the main things, because let me first of all say that as I'm based here in Italy, in Florence, I don't know who knows this city, but it's very cultural and touristic kind of oriented. So there is very little business and there's barely any Web3 or blockchain people even here.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I don't even know really people in real life that I speak with on a daily basis here that are into the same
You only
thing.
have Discord friends. Is
Exactly.
that it?
Yes. I literally don't have friends, so you're like my new best friends now. So be aware of that. I will stalk you. So that's once actually that when I speak with people on the floor, everyone is always immediately about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, but the price dropped and it's all in the Ponzi scheme. It's all, this whole.
Isn't
hype.
life too hard now that the price has dropped?
Yes, and actually what I can say is that something really interesting happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was chatting with a normal software engineer here in Florence, and he was kind of trying to mansplain to me that creating the business that I'm currently creating, right, my startup, that it was really difficult and that it was really not possible. And then he was asking me about the price of Ethereum because he thought it was worth still 8K. And he was wondering where it was going. And I was like, hey, this guy really doesn't know anything. But he was like explaining to me how I should run my business. So that was something that was a bit interesting to say at the very least. But in the media, the couple of things that I do notice are always the same discourses, right? So in the criminal activity, the money laundering, then there's the whole environmental idea about, proof of work. It's mostly those two things. And then the whole hype cycle. I mean, when Bitcoin is standing high, all the media are all over it. And then, when we're actually in a correction or we're just building, you don't hear anything about blockchain. That's a bit of a shame sometimes.
Yeah. And just before I go on to your startup.
It's okay.
Fuck me, it always happens.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What do you think is the difference between a Web2 company and a Web3 company or a Web3 startup? What's the main difference between over there? Are they the same, similar?
Well, I mean, I guess, let's say, first of all, I'm not an expert on, defining companies, etc. But what I can say maybe from my experience...
Well, you're trying to building one, so... Never know.
Yeah, but that's true. But what I'm really trying to build is just a normal startup, right? That is making a Web2, a normal application for Web3. I'm not pretending to build a Web3 project myself because I can't. I don't have the skills for that. So what I can, that's actually the point I wanted to get to, because I think that there is a little bit of an ideological and flexibility kind of different approach between Web2, or let's even just say the normal, more traditional companies, and then the Web3 projects and the Web3 related businesses.
Yep.
I am observing lots of differences in attitude, mostly of the people working in the different sectors. So Web3 usually moves like super fast, right? You can just jump on a call tomorrow, have a chat, and then do business or sign a contract, even if we sign a contract next week. While Web2, there's talking, that one has to speak with the other person, with the superior, and then nothing happens, basically. Not to say that it's everywhere like that, but I do think that Web3 is a bit more fast and interesting, to be honest. But I don't know how you feel about that yourselves.
Well, what amazes me is the welcoming. Like, people are so welcoming. Like, you can ask questions almost anywhere and people are like, yeah, sure, I'm going to help you. Or like for the show, for instance, all the persons that I've contacted, they all said like, yeah, I'll gladly come on the show. Whereas if I were to do like a a normal show, I would say, like that's not crypto related or blockchain related, they'd be like, I have to look at my agenda. Nah, sorry, I can't. You know. And so yeah, it's fascinating, like the willingness of or the length at which people go just to explain you stuff. Like if you ask, not in a like a demeaning way, but when you ask them, I haven't come across a-holes.
No.
For now. So touching wood.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds as if you have.
Oh no, I just been hacked a few times, which I haven't figured out why. Still, like to this day, I don't know what happened to me. Which part that happened to me that to create this hack, that make the hack was possible. So I still don't know now. But anyways, I changed computer, I changed everything, I changed the internet. So just trying to be cautious all the time.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, actually, that is quite not welcoming indeed. If that happens to you.
Yeah.
I think it's very. I think it's good and bad. The good thing about it is, people are supposed to take care of themselves about the security and all that. We shouldn't be relying on the central government or a central authority to reverse the transaction when something goes wrong. Like we're supposed to take care of it, but now we're not taking care of it. We're abusing it. On the other hand, that it's not that normal frauds or normal kind of hacking is not happening. It's just that we don't care. Like such as a few years back that we realized that Facebook that was selling our data, but it's not like we don't know about it. We know about it all the time. Like we know that when we're buying things from online, buying things from the supermarket, and that they record all this big data and then, do things for us. So we know about it, but we enjoy it because it gives us convenience. But since it's Web3, it's really, first of all, it's money related. Second of all, it's non-reversible. And it's just that the effect got exaggerated for everyone. So I think that's what's happening with the crypto, that people are thinking about it. It's a money laundering, it's a fraud, it's a Ponzi scheme, but really is just people exaggerating it, and which is happening in the real life anyway. Like our credit cards getting hacked, and our other things get hacked too.
Yeah.
Which I think Web3 is very good because it provides this privacy to our people, such as if I want to buy something from the Web2 world, that I need to insert my credit card number and my phone number, my email address, everything. And therefore, I'm getting anonymous phone calls every day telling me that I want jackpot. But in the Web3 world, I can do a transaction without inputting a lot of things, and I can just, you want the money, I give you the money, and then you send the stuff to the address. Therefore, my personal information is being well protected.
Yeah.
I think that's something a very important factor of the Web3 rather than Web2.
Yeah, data privacy is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, I think your points are absolutely true. And in terms of the welcoming, that we were discussing, yes, that also relates to the beginning of the conversation when you asked, like, which type of different attitudes did you notice?
Yeah.
How do you feel as a woman entering the field? But it's absolutely true that everyone wants to help one another. And then, of course, there are sometimes hackers or bad actors, but I guess they're everywhere. And, it's up to us to prevent that these things happen, or try not to click on phishing things. And I guess that indeed, once that the world becomes more and more Web3 so to say, I think these things will also slowly, hopefully disappear. Of course, we will still have the exploits. I mean, I'm not a smart contract developer or writer or anything. I know that in October we have seen quite a few of them, and I guess that's also kind of normal, right, for a sector that is so rapidly developing.
Yeah, and it's so new.
Exactly, so it's normal. I mean, in my opinion, at least, if you look at the cycle of innovation, I think it's really normal that in the beginning things are maybe not stable or not developing like in a linear line. We always go left and right and all over the place. And that's life. Just like this very conversation.
Yeah.
Most important thing is that we go forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And yeah, like just to take the example of like the credit cards were invented like I think in the 50s. So, we still have like 70 years of improvement upon it. So like, let's see where blockchain is in 70 years.
Yeah, and I actually have a question for you because
Yep.
I hope not to like bounce over you with this question, but as far as I understood, you're also like a researcher of AI, right? Or at least you know quite a lot about AI.
Quite a lot I don't know, but I can find my way around them, I would say.
Yeah.
But I don't build models.
Okay, but like if I would ask you, for instance, there is this famous Moore's law, right? That every a couple of years there's the exponential increase and a doubling of the circuits, how the processing power, etc.
Exactly.
When you mentioned that credit cards were invented in the 50s and that now, of course, we're a lot further, but also still early on in Web3, do you think that Web3 also develops exponentially almost according to Moore's law, or do you think that's not the case?
Now it's the awkward silence.
No, but you need time to think. Maybe it's a bit of a specific
I would say that.
I'll give you a hint. Use my kids as example.
Exactly. So I was going to say that we've come to a technology. The pace of innovation and advance in technology is being accelerating. And if you look like at the history of technology, let's say you go back 4,000 years ago, we started the agriculture. And then for almost 2 millennia, that was it. And then there was another shift. And then it goes on and on and on. And as you always see with the innovations, the gap between the one major tech and the next one always goes to reduce. Mm-hmm. And there are even some persons that, and this is called like the singularity theory or something like that, is when we're getting so advanced, and because we always build upon previous innovations, that at some point change is going to be instantaneously. And this is where we reach like the singularity. And actually like Google has dedicated a university to it. It's called the Singularity. They're all transhumanists. Like, it's crappy, but there you go. Like, I don't know, but it exists. And the logical thoughts or reasoning behind it is sound. And again, as you said with Web3, like the thing is we're always increasingly connected. And when you increase connections, you increase the speed at which ideas and innovation diffuse. If you think of the printing press, that was revolutionary because it dramatically sped up the way you could diffuse thoughts and ideas. And now internet has done this tenfold. And now blockchain itself, I think it's going to do that, but specifically for governance, identity, and money, which is again amazing in and of itself. So I would say yes, it increases the speed at which it goes. Machine learning is also going crazy fast. Like if you look at one model 2 years ago when it started and what that model can do now, you're like, what is happening? And especially in machine learning, it's even like, I would say like a separate case, because now their models in AIs, this is like, there are two main things to do with AIs, is either you train them, like you give them a sample and say, yeah, this is the good sample, like learn from it, or you say, here are the rules, learn from the rules and do stuff. And the second, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's the difference between like reinforced and unsupervised, or not?
Supervised and unsupervised.
Okay.
Yep. And the reinforced is just that there's a loop that is added, and because there is this loop that is added, you can the computer just treats the information so much faster than the brain. So like if you take like AlphaGo, which is like an AI that plays Go, in an hour, I think it played 1 million game of Go. So I've been playing Go for 10 years.
You play Go?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that.
So I've been playing Go for 10 years, and I think I have barely played 1,000 games. And that thing, in an hour, played 1 million games. So the scale is totally different. But that's why also it's really important to set ethical rules within the code, because as the code reinforces itself, at some point, it's going to outpace us, and outsmart us. It's already doing this in a specific region. So that's why I strongly advocate for ethics in computer science, just because otherwise that's it. And I've read, there was like in Singapore, there is a corporation that elected an AI as CEO. So there you go.
Wow.
Like,
and they make the most logical decisions, right?
Exactly. Sorry, it was a bit of a long answer, but that I'd say yes, it's going to increase, and it's increasing every time and every day, especially the more you connect people.
I wonder what happens if you have an AI CEO making decisions based on a DAO. That would be fun. How that would work.
Oh, you can build it.
It's going to take over the world, I think.
You can build it. Yes.
That's why I don't like technical analysis these days. You know, the more I understand AI, the concept of AI, the less I'm interested in the technical analysis, because such as a lot of big companies such as Ray Dalio, he spends millions of dollars just building all these AIs, machine learnings, to analyze what's the possibility of, you know, when we see a red candle is this big, and then the next green candle is that big, and head and shoulder, these ascending wedges, all these things, what's the possibility of that? They calculate millions of possibilities and then gives you a conclusion. Okay, the next one is going to be rising, let's say 55%, and then therefore they are placing the bet.
Yeah.
Rather than me drawing triangles on the chart, you know, the time when I'm finished the chart, you know, the thing is already changed. So I do think that it's going to change a lot of things, especially financially and in the computer science. Yeah, that's going to change a lot of things.
Yeah, in that regard, I think it's wonderful that we have all these technological improvements. And in regards to the AI, what you've just mentioned, I'm also really interested in this topic. Actually how I got kind of towards technology's intersection with social sciences, because I wrote my master thesis on that very topic. But, you know, I think technology is great, but we still have to make sure that we all kind of have access to the right tools. I mean, it's wonderful if we have the latest technical analysis tools, but then if only multi-billion-dollar hedge funds have access to it, you know, it will only broaden the gap that is between the normal traders or the normal people and then these huge institutions. So I do think that not only connection is important, and, you know, knowing the right people, knowing indeed, when you were speaking about connections between people and how that moves innovation and ideas forward, but then also access, because still, if I don't even have a computer to connect to the Web3 world,
oh yeah, you're fucked.
I mean, how do I? Yes, thank you for saying that.
Oh yeah, you're fucked. You're fucked. Yeah, and that's the problem with the whole system, is it's either woke or die, and there's no in between. And so that's why, for me, like, to answer like one of the questions back, is that's why I'm so interested in blockchains. At first, I got it from the money because I was bored and finished university and I was bored. And then I stayed in for the tech. But what I realized is the potential, especially for the global south, to finally join that. Because to finally join, like, to have even like a bank account, or to be able to do transactions with one another, this is something that has been suppressed in the global south for a long, long time. And as blockchains are immutable, it allows them to have that foundation that we kind of take for granted here in the first worlds because, well, we already have it. And we're like, yeah, but like if you were to meet someone in the street and you wanted to give him money through wire transfer, you wouldn't even think that that person might not have a bank account. But in like going third worlds, and like many people don't have a bank account. And so just that fact, for instance, that we all take for granted, I see it, yeah, as you said, like I'm looking forward to it because it's a more inclusive world that we can shape or that we can help define. And that's why I stay in tech, basically.
Yeah, and it's also better to an extent, right? It's not only having some sort of a bank account now, but it's better than a bank account. It's like a bank account without all these ridiculous fees and without the intermediaries looking with a glass what I'm doing and where my money is going to. It's like better. It's like that's what makes me so excited. It's like this world and everything that we have, but then a lot better, so that actually everyone can have access and that things are more fair and that there is less inefficiencies and really opportunity cost everywhere. Like,
yeah.
I'm
And
really
you, Channing, what are you looking more forward to?
No, I think that's the question that she asked earlier, or you asked earlier, like, what do you think of the blockchain, the technology, the crypto is going? So I think that's I already said my answer in regards in the NFT world. But so I think it's going to be the same thing, and most importantly is solvency, that we actually own our own stuff rather than having your money sitting in a bank account that sometimes you can't withdraw them, sometimes other people can withdraw them, but with your money being in your wallet or your asset in your wallet was very, very important. So a lot of people who are watching this right now probably played a video game before, and you know how painful it is for sometimes, when you've done something or you didn't do something and they just shut your account, they delete your account, and then all of the effort that you've done for the video games or the in-game assets, the pets, the months, the weapons, and just disappeared, just because they think that you have done something wrong. So with NFTs, that wouldn't be, or with blockchain technology, that wouldn't be the case. We will actually own our own things, and we will be able to sell it on a secondary market with the actual open market. So I think that's very important for the things to go on forward. And it's very easy to verify too with the blockchain technology, which is also a key thing. That because how do you prove that you're a millionaire or a billionaire? You could be having a diamond ring, but then that could be fake, and then it could be having a car key that says Mercedes-Benz or Lamborghini on it, but then it can also be fake. You can't just prove that I actually own this house, because what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to find out a lot of documents and saying, okay, this is actually my house, or I just broke into this house, abandoned house last week. So you can't show all these things. But on the blockchain, it's just like that. With snap a finger, you can verify a lot of things. So I think that's where the NFT is taking us, and I'm very excited about in the future.
Yeah. Alexandra, you said like you did something in AI with your master's thesis. What was it about?
Or
what did you explore about?
Yeah, I'm sure it was just probably a piece of cake for you, as you're more of an expert. But
I am not
ago...
an expert. That's the thing. People think I'm an expert, but I am not.
Yeah, because you look so clever, It's
but I'm not. It's just a clever trick. I can't even find the unmute button, you see? So
that happens every time.
And it happens every time, so I don't even learn,
No reinforcement learning.
The same thing.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Basically, I was doing this master's in international relations and European studies, and I was actually deciding, I always like to take a multidisciplinary approach because I think it's a shame to just focus on one discipline, like only legal analysis or only this type of analysis, or I think it's interesting to combine different things and then come to new ideas. So I thought, what can I discuss? So I really looked at AI that's now already like 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought, which impact is it going to have on legal institutions? So I don't know, in this case, I focused a lot on human rights and international law.
Yep.
And on the other hand, political institutions, mostly the liberal democracy, but also other types of systems that we have in other places of the world.
Yep.
And yeah, I did a little bit of a multidisciplinary thesis really on that.
And what did you
200
find?
pages. What I found was really a lot, actually. I found that probably AI is going to have, as we all can assume quite intuitively, a huge impact all across the board. I think that it will, because there's always this, for instance, one of the discourses is like, how will it come into our societies, right? Of course, we have the whole innovation part. And then there's lots of people who think that many of us will lose our jobs eventually. And then there's these different dialogues, right? Is it only going to be the more simple jobs or actually really the technical jobs? Or, there's lots of different opinions about that. And I think that we have to be careful with that, that we at least have to keep an eye on it, because I really believe in the future of AI, considering not maybe the singularity, but the very fact that we're moving probably towards a general type of AI really soon.
Oh yeah, so no, that's definitely going to happen. Like the question is when, not if.
And I think when a lot of people potentially might lose their jobs, I wonder what will happen to our societies. Not maybe from the monetary perspective, but people... they take a lot of pride sometimes in what they're doing and recognition in terms of working. So that's actually one of the things I focused on. Other impacts, as I said, were on human rights, what AI means for empowerment, for sometimes undermining certain human rights, especially with regards to data. The same old discourses that blockchain also tries to solve. So that's actually how I slowly got into Web3 and blockchain as well.
Oh, okay.
These perspectives.
So you took the different route than Al and me and Salim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. It's like, we have something. Sorry, Eddie, I can't ban him for whatever reason. Sorry, just because as you've seen, like you said, like remember, like Web3, like people are welcoming. We are streaming onto Twitch. And you can guess what kind of comments we get.
Tell me.
That's okay.
No.
We don't have to talk about it now.
No.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Talking back to the AI
Just a
thing,
bit of moderating. Go ahead, Channing.
Definitely
But are we going to have sexual comments from people? Sorry. Not that, right?
Close
borderline.
It's
Close
fine.
enough.
It's fine. Channing, please continue. I was interrupting you.
Yeah, so I was saying that's talking about AI replacing jobs. I can see a ton of jobs going to be replaced. Number one being the taxi driver. I don't see any needs of having a taxi driver when we have AIs, with the traffic controls, with the electronic cars that being driving around. I don't see the needs of taxi drivers. But then coming back to the not even the Web3 world, but the whole world, like myself, I always try to find ways to improve myself, not only in the Web3, but in the Web2 world as well. I just want to find my uniqueness. It's not that I am doing a taxi driving job, but I'm doing taxi driving. I always try to find my uniqueness in the whole industry or in the world. So I think that's very important for everyone who's watching this video, that try to find your spot that nobody else can replace you. There's got to be something that nobody can replace you for whatever reason. So you need to find that spot and make it really, really shine. And I think that's that way we won't be limited by the AI. But then there are a lot of things that's going to be replaced by AI for sure. such as doctors, for instance. A lot of people don't think doctors will be replaced, but doctors actually are easy to be replaced because the AI can analyze millions of cases in just a snap of a finger, right? Rather than human actually worrying.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm very interested in the theory too, and I watched that the number one thing that cannot be replaced by AI is actually nurse. So it's not something too hard, not something too easy. So for nurse, it's not like doctors that you want to invest millions of dollars to invest the AI doctor. You don't want to spend that much money on nurse. And second of all, is more of human interaction.
Exactly.
And rather than just diagnose what's the problem with your body. So it's taking care of people such as people vomiting, a lot of other things, injections, these kind of things cannot be replaced by AI or not worth to invest the money into it.
No.
That's something I read very interesting. But
I also kind of concluded the same thing in my research, that where jobs are based on indeed data analytics, basically, really simply put, right, just knowledge that you can look up and study for, that therefore AI will probably be a little bit of a hazard, or at least threats. And where jobs are coming that require more motorics, so a hairdresser, a nurse, someone who works with his or her hands, that's a bit more tricky to replace by embodied AI, by robotics, because that is a step further still behind, as far as I have understood.
And it's even more complex, I think, like to build you built giant automation cars because you know all the steps, and you automate it because like you can sell cars for like really high value. But try create an automation thing for like a chair. You don't sell a chair as much as expensive, as a car. So you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not worth investing it.
Remember the picture I sent you the other day?
Oh yes, the sofa.
$100,000 sofa. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but that's designer stuff.
Switzerland too.
Yeah, that's designer stuff, and that's your problem if you look at designer stuff.
Yeah, but then designers cannot be replaced by AI. Or can they? Like such as DALL-E.
I'd probably think that yes, they are going to. Honestly, like everything is going to at some point.
I think especially where creativity comes in, right?
Yeah.
Or especially not. Maybe that depends on your stance. But I personally think certainly where creativity comes in, that actually AI may come up with crazy, interesting new things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the whole AlphaGo idea, right?
Yeah. AlphaGo, like those AI generators right now and all of that. Like we thought, and it was a meme I saw, but I think it's relevant. We always thought, and the thing goes, like, we always thought that creativity and our ability to bond and stuff was what makes us human. But in the end, what makes us human is our ability to distinguish what is a bridge or a traffic light. Because AIs, like the captchas, and AIs can't really do it. Anyway.
Ironic.
Yeah.
I think also, by the way, as a last thing, what also distinguishes us is that we have like human dignity.
Ooh, yes.
In a sense, I'm sorry, but that was also like a huge part of my thesis, right? The whole human rights idea of human dignity, because I think that, let's say, even if tomorrow we can replace a nurse by a brilliant robotic AI, I mean, I wonder, we also can think about what we want. What we think as humans is still something that we aim for, or that we actually choose not to do certain things, because so many things in today's world is possible, and it's almost more telling what we don't do than what we do, actually. That maybe sounds a bit philosophic, but I think that is also what makes us human.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like what makes us human? That's a big question.
Yeah, a whole new webinar.
Yes, exactly. As we are nearing, I just have one last question for you, and maybe Channing has another question. My question is, do you have, we call them hard-earned lesson, like stuff that you did in crypto or in blockchain that well, there were obvious mistakes, but now that you know them, like, you wouldn't do it again. Do you have something like that, and stuff that you wish you knew before, or that you wish someone had tell you?
Yes, I mean, maybe one of them is called XRP.
Ooh.
I'm one of those back holders since
Ooh.
years, waiting for the SEC case to be over. And looking back, I wish I hadn't invested, not only from a monetary perspective, but also from a more ideological perspective. But back then, I thought it was a good and interesting things to do, to bet on them. And yeah, I mean, let's say I'm still a back holder of that one.
Oh, awesome! You're the first XRP holder I see. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's then my big mistake. Let's make that clear here.
Yes. Channing, do you have a final question?
I'm all good. It's really, really nice to have this kind of conversation with intelligent women, especially in this world, because it's really it's not a discrimination, but it's really hard to find girls in this industry, and then especially for someone, regardless their gender, is very smart and very aggressive too, which is very nice trait to have in this world. Isn't it?
I appreciate that, and that's very kind of you to say.